I've got some exciting news, and that's that I recently switched podcast host to Anchor. Now, if you don't know what a host is, it's what distributes your podcast, which means it becomes available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Now, the best part is it gives you all the creation tools to make your podcast. So if you need to edit it, if you need to record it, you can do that all in one place from your phone or computer. Another awesome thing is it's free. I was actually paying to host my podcast before, but now I can host it for free. And you can start making money immediately by recording an ad just like this one. You don't have to wait till you get a certain amount of listeners. Now, if you're like, that sounds awesome, I want to create my own podcast, then make sure you download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This is the Daily Steps Towards Success podcast. I'm Kayla Celeste. If you're looking for a daily podcast to help you accomplish your dreams, you're in the right place. So let's take the daily steps towards success together. On today's podcast, we're actually going to be talking about how do you need to feel to get it done. So if we look at the model by Brooke Castillo, we know that we have a circumstance, then we have a thought, and then our thought creates our feeling inspires action, and our action creates our result. So if we're looking at the action line and we want to get ourselves to take action on a certain task, then we actually have to start with the thought and then go to the feeling. So we need to feel a certain way to actually get it done. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of a task that you need to do that you keep avoiding. Now this is going to be our circumstance. So for this example, we're going to say calling clients on the phone. So the circumstance is calling clients on the phone. Now I want you to think about why you aren't getting it done. So what is creating the action of procrastinating? And so you might have thoughts like, it's too hard, no one will answer, it's overwhelming, I don't know where to start. Now you're going to have your own version of this. So let's just take one of those thoughts. And that thought is, it's too hard. So if we're looking at the model again, we have calling clients in the circumstance line, and then we have the thought is, it's too hard. Now, how does it feel when you think it's too hard? You probably feel pretty discouraged, right? And so notice that feeling of discouraged or self-doubt or confusion or whatever your feeling is, notice that it doesn't promote action. So this is where the problem lies, right? We have that thought, it creates that feeling, and then we're not taking action. So now what I want you to do is take that feeling that you have, and I want you to flip it to the opposite feeling and see if that fuels action. So for instance, the feeling discouraged could turn into empowered. The feeling of unmotivated could turn into motivated. The feeling of confusion could turn into certainty. The feeling of overwhelm could be switched to calm or certainty or confidence. And so now let's go back with our example, and the feeling was discouraged. And so we're going to change that feeling to empowered. Now, does that help fuel action? Well, the feeling empowered does help fuel action. So now we have to figure out, okay, how do we get ourselves to feel empowered? Well, we have to change our thinking. So what would you have to think in order to feel this feeling? So for example, what would you have to think to feel empowered? Now, one of the things that is really helpful whenever you have a thought like it's hard, you can just add something onto that thought. So for this one, we're going to say it's hard, but I can do hard things. And then you feel empowered. And so what we did there was we just kind of walked through the model. We switched the thoughts to actually get ourselves to take action. So what would it look like to switch your feeling to actually help you get into action? So I really want you to think of that task that you're avoiding doing and go through that process with your specific example so that you can switch your feeling so that you can take the action, because once you take the action, that's how you get the result that you want. Thank you for listening to the Daily Steps Towards Success podcast. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. After all, we're in this together, one step at a time.